crazy stuff. But we are having camps for the school year.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know we talked about the camps and how it is a strong pivot, but I was talking to Charles Jarnigan. I go, it's one you're probably gonna have to take. It's just the reality. If you want to keep making money and making more money, or do you want to keep slipping? Because sooner or later, even if you're doing a really good job on Zoom, people are going to drop out, just like any type of attrition or any type. And I think Zoom was popular when people knew there was an end in sight. So when we started this, and you and I, Scott, got on there, okay, for the next month, we're going to be doing Zoom classes. That's going to be really popular and this and that. Make sure you put people on, don't put people on hold their payments, but give them makeup classes. And then all of a sudden they get, well, maybe next month or the month after. Now it's just like, this is reality. This is it. Am I willing to keep paying for Zoom and not have my kid really get any better at martial arts?
Right. And I know that there's plenty of people who are like, well, hey, this is what we're having. Like if you're in a state that's full on shutdown, okay, yeah, I get that. But even the states that are full on shutdown, I don't think that they've shut down childcare. I don't believe that they have a lot, or at least a lot of them. And you need to look at what your state's actually saying. One of the things, like for example, my wife teaches prenatal yoga, and they just put a mask mandate in Tulsa. And all the yoga studios said, okay, well, wear a mask. And my wife was looking at it. She was like, well, it says, the mandate says, if you're socially distanced inside a facility where there was like some rules. And what it was for offices. Like if you're in an office cubicle, no one's around you. You don't have to be wearing a mask. Like that's the point. And she was like, this sure does sound like yoga. Like if my ladies wear a mask get to their mat, and she's got their mats 10 feet apart. Like, it sure seems like, according to this mandate, they can take off their mask while they exercise. And she went ahead and said, everything looks like that, so that's what we're going to do. And then as soon as she said that, all the other yoga studios like, oh, by the way, so it's don't just take what you think or what people are saying. Actually read what your state is saying, and see what openings there are, see what availability there is. But I think you're right. There's it's going to be challenging to continue to have, even if you have 5% attrition, that's 5 students on 100 on a school of 100,
Yeah.
And then another 5, another 5.
So if you're not getting new people, sooner or later it's going to dwindle away. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
That's why I tell everyone you got to stop the bleeding. So if you're bleeding, sooner or later you're going to end up in a bad situation.
Yeah. Exactly.
A couple people in my area are doing camps for next year, because there is no school coming into at least the first half of the school year.
Yeah.
And when I started looking at them, at first I was a little confused, because I emailed you before. They're calling like virtual day camps and things like that because it's virtual learning in school. But when I first look at it, I go, okay, it's a day camp virtual, and the kid's can be sitting at his desk at home doing it. So I thought that was, a little bit. In fact, let me just share my screen for a second. And
sure.
So this is one of the ads I saw.
Okay.
And she called it Back to School Solutions. And then Kick Martial Arts will be offering virtual learning help for students from grade 2nd to grade 12.
Yeah, it does not say, like, it's hard to see with just that that headline. It's like, wait, are my kids logging on to see what or to get help from a Taekwondo school for their school? Like, that doesn't, it is a little confusing for sure. Give me a second, hang on.
Okay.
Can I help you? Never mind. Guys just in there.
Yeah. I was mentioned last week, I got one of your emails, and I really liked it because you kind of talked to challenges parents are going to have when kids are going back to school. You can have a solution to help them.
Yes.
When I see you're offering some type of back to school camp, where kids are actually going to come live in your school between 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon or what it's going to be. It's got to sound like it's a live camp.
Yeah.
And then you're going to provide help for the virtual learning. I know Tony Hall, I was looking at one of his ads, he actually hired a school teacher to help the kids with their virtual learning.
Great idea.
So he's got all the desks set up, and the desks are so far apart, and he's got the bandwidth to have I don't know how many computers, and he's charging $225 for students. So they're coming in their day. They can do their virtual learning on Classroom. Teacher can give them some help. They'll have some snack, do a martial arts class. They're going to do arts and crafts. So it sounds like a really, really good program. I'm just thinking, how are we going to really get this message out so parents see that, okay, this is what they're doing?
Well, what we have not externally advertised this yet. Let me show you actually. Let me find my stuff, and then I'll screen share what we're doing. Hang on. Don't save. All right. One of the things, what we're starting with, and I think this is important for everybody, is that I think it's easy to push out external advertisements. Well, it's not easy, but it's easier than actually figuring it out for yourself. Because if you start with your own plan and go step by step through it, then it makes it easier to communicate to everybody else. Kind of like if you have a solid understanding of the real benefits of your, let's just say martial arts classes, it's pre-corona, we didn't know what, everything is great and our life is wonderful. You know, here's what we do in class, here's how we do it, here are the benefits, here's the results. Look at those black belt kids over there that are teaching. Those kids were just like your kids before. Like, what's going to happen. So it's really easy to communicate it to an enrollment, to a person who's thinking about enrolling. It's therefore easy to create a flyer or a digital advertisement at least it's easier to put that language out there, right? Mm-hmm. And this is new territory for a lot of people. So I don't think they don't know what exactly they're going to do. So it's hard to communicate it out. Let me show you the like reference point that I have. Ocean Tulsa, after school, 2020, 21. I know it's here. Give me a second. Because it does a good job of actually. There we go. I had to look it up in my actual email because I couldn't find it in my. Oh, gosh, dang it. Binder pricing COVID. That's there we go. It's doing a weird thing where it wasn't opening. Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen here. Oh, you got it disabled.
Disabled. How do I do that?
Maybe in settings or something. Gallery view, record.
People are going to say, oh, these guys are really organized.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Well, what I can do is I can post it in the group. But essentially, what I do is I start with my pricing sheet, and I have the different tiers and different options that we are going to be able to offer. And in what look like features to someone, like if I'm selling a car and it says it's got air conditioning and leather seats and this, that, and the other, it's kind of like that. It kind of lists it. And in that listing is the language that I want the parent to hear. We're using the phrase distance learning day camp because our TPS is using the phrase distance learning, right? So there's going to be at least some distance learning. And what we're telling parents is, look, they don't know how much distance learning. They don't know what it's going to be like. All we know is that we're going to support whatever your child needs to get their distance learning done. But we're also going to have a day camp where they're having fun and they're playing. And like we face to face, we make that communication. I think that you have to, that it's going to be easier for people like me that have already gotten a kind of a captive audience about after school and summer camp. But that doesn't mean that there's not parents desperately searching for, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You know, and martial arts on its own isn't the answer to that. However, don't think that that's a bad thing. You have a huge, like, if I can buy a hamburger for $5 or a hamburger that makes me a superhero for $5, I'll take the superhero hamburger, right? If I can go to a daycare or I can go to a martial arts school where they're going to get the same thing but learn how to do karate, I mean, what parent isn't going to choose that? And then you charge, if you're wondering about pricing, is look at all your pricing and charge 20% more. Like, it automatically gives you a more premium type, look, a premium type product. Plus, those daycares can't teach your kids martial arts classes. Mm-hmm. I think that using that as a leverage of, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to make sure that you have what you need, parents, from a work perspective. We're going to make sure that the kids have what they need from a school perspective, and your kids going to every single day learn about and all those life skills. You know, if you hammer in those, but I do think that we should remember that parents aren't going to want it doesn't matter that their kids will learn how to do a sight kick. It matters that their kids will learn how to do patience and perseverance and some fitness. Like, I think that that's we shouldn't forget that. Like, we got to keep that in mind, that the real results and benefits are the leverage, not just karate. You know,
I'm totally with you. And I think if I had a school at this time, even if I was just like a hardcore Kempo guy, I've got to look at my business in the long term, and it doesn't look a good outlook for just keeping a hardcore Kempo guy. So I have to decide, am I willing to make this big type of switch?
Right.
And I was thinking this morning about, if I had a restaurant that was a real gourmet restaurant, but no one could go to my restaurant anymore, would I just deliver on Uber Eats and be satisfied? Probably not. If my goal is to have a gourmet restaurant, I probably feel like I'm really selling out and lowering my standards.
Yep.
So a school owner has to decide about survival or just making some type of pivot so we can keep making money. So I think that your whole idea at camp is really good. But again, I'm trying to help our industry survive through all this. So I think we really have to say, okay, if I'm going to survive and I'm going to make money and I can kind of turn this around so 2020 isn't as bad as it looks like right now, am I willing to do this? Okay, I'm willing to do this. Now, William, tell me what I have to do next.
Right.
Yeah, I want to survive. Tell me what to do.
I think the restaurant analogy is great, because that's absolutely true. I've actually noticed that restaurants that I could not get Grubhub before are on Grubhub. And like, I would be so mad, like, okay, look, I know it's $27 fried rice. I know that's outrageous. I know it's ridiculous, but I want crab fried rice from this place, and I have to freaking go and pick it up from the restaurant because they're too hoity-toity to get on. And all of a sudden now I can order anything I want, you know? And so it's like, I think if you can sell $27 fried rice on Grubhub, and they can make that decision, because I think you're right, they're probably like, this is totally not what we wanted to do when we started this business, but they're going to survive. And then eventually they'll pull their stuff from Grubhub when this is all over and go back to being, you know, and they'll just forget about that one time in 2020 where they had to lower their standards. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, that reminds me of another, like, analogy. We always see these, like, martial arts movies or like war movies or whatever, where like the young brash, like, hero is going to, like, try to destroy the enemy, but you know he's going to die. And then, like, the old sage is like, look, live to fight another day. Right? You can't actually win this war if you die here today. So you gotta, like, use your, it's like, if you just say, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing day camps, I'm not a babysitter, that's not martial arts. Well, you'll be out of business potentially while the 22-year-old that doesn't know what he's doing, that just knows how to throw pizza parties, is still in business. So I don't want that to happen to our, I think it was Tom Callis that said that a long time ago. I heard him say, we don't talk a lot anymore, but he said, like, look, you guys are master level instructors with decades of experience, and you give amazing value, but you're getting run over by the kid that knows how to throw a pizza party. Like, just because you won't have a parent's night out, all you got to do is give them what you know in a way that they can receive it. And I think that's a really important lesson.
And I think if your heart is really for helping people through martial arts, you can do just as well in your day camp by putting in some type of life skills program and talk to them, they're going to get the same type of benefits.
Yeah.
So you're providing that service that people really need. So it's not like you're selling out, you're just changing how you're delivering the message.
Correct. Well, and how many times have I heard people say, I wish martial arts was as popular as soccer, as popular as football. I wish they would just, if they would just enroll for martial arts. All of a sudden now we have that opportunity because we have a situation where parents are like, who can help me? Who can help me? And you say, I can help you. By the way, I also teach martial arts. Now, if a parent's like, I don't want my kid learning karate, okay, fine. Just like there's parents like my wife would never let my kids play football. She's like, nope. No concussions for them, right? So we're just not a football family. Okay, well, there's going to be families that just aren't martial arts families, but there's going to be a lot of people who would never have thought about you, and now they're going to be black belts with you, and that's amazing.
Okay, so now you talked me into it. So what's my day going to look like?
So the first thing that you have to do, and this is anytime I'm giving people this advice, this is the biggest piece of resistance. So let's get this out of the way first. You have to open early. And you have to close late, period. You cannot have a 9 a.m. to noon day camp because the people that can do that don't actually need you, right? So you have to open at 7:30. I don't think 7 is necessary. You have to think about times that people have to go to work, right? So open at 7:30. You have before care, which you don't have to have an amazing facility like this. We did ours with buckets of Legos dumped on the mats. Hey, this is the Legos area. That's the book area. And that's the lay down and take a nap area. And I understand that usually that's the forms area and the weapons area and the sparring area, but right now it's Lego. That's okay. Just dump it all on the floor. And then around 9 o'clock, you pick it up and you start having 15-minute increments. What are all of the fun things? Think about, and this is how I actually thought through my games process. What are all the fun things that your kids want to do instead of kicking drills? What are all the things that you do at the end of class that you're like, God, I wish it was all this easy? The dodgeballs, the tags, the samurai tag, the whatever, all the things that are a little martial arts oriented, but really just fun. Take all those things and put them in 15-minute blocks. I'm going to play samurai gold. I'm going to play monkey tag. And then that's 7 minutes and 7 minutes. And then I rotate to my next 15-minute block, which is this and this. And also move them around your facility. I don't care if you have 1,000 square foot facility and it's tiny. Move them to this corner. Move them to this corner. I learned that from a Spanish teacher that I had. She was ridiculous. It was freshman year of high school and Spanish 1. And it's the only Spanish. I took 3 years of Spanish, and I only really learned from the first teacher because she forced us to stand up and do jumping jacks. And we all thought she was so, she would see the class was fading. She would say, stand up and do jumping jacks. And we literally had to do it, or she would give us a detention. And then all of a sudden we sat back down and we were alert. You know what I mean? And I was like, wait a minute. She knows what she's doing. So we will stand kids up, move them to a new area, and then do whatever that new activity is. Board games are great. Puzzles are great. And changing from high energy to low energy is great too. So you play a high energy dodgeball, then you sit down and you do a board game. And then you do from a board game, then you do a Duck Duck Goose. And then from a Duck Duck Goose, you do another big high energy game. Break it into 15-minute increments. And if you think that's too much, think about what will happen if you choose not to do that. You need this. Just do this. And start. So 7:30 to 9 is chill out time. Everybody can just chill out, and you can have rules about chill out. You're not running, you're not doing this, and have lots of things for them to do. Like you need to go to the what is it called? The thrift stores. They usually have big bags of children's books for $20 a bag or whatever. And then from 9 to 9:15, I'm doing this. That's the rules meeting. Almost always, your 9 a.m. should be your rules meeting. And when I say rules meeting, I think of like a tournament rules meeting, but like. Here's what Motion Tulsa is all about. We're kind to each other. We do this. We don't do this. Who has ever felt like they've been bullied before? Yes. Okay. Here's what bullying really means. Here's what we're not going to do. If you see something like we say that every day because even kids that have been here for 5 years will be like, wait a minute, what do you mean bullying? It's like, so we just go through it every day. And that way there's a reference point of what we have to expect out of them. We can't expect things that we haven't talked about. And it's not fair if you're a martial arts teacher and you usually only deal with kids on a 1 hour block and all they're doing is putting their hands to feet together and bowing and saying, yes, sir. you get them for 8 hours and they get a little frisky, and you have to make sure you have those expectations set. So that's 9 to 9:15, 9:15 to 9:30 to 9:45 to 10. You don't need a morning snack. That's not necessary. The little kids are going to tell you that they're starving. Make them wait till 11. Do an 11 o'clock lunch. Force everyone to sit down for the entire 30 minutes. They have to sit down for 30 minutes. Do not let them get up at 11:15. What'll happen is they were having so much fun with playing Legos with their friends that they got to get up. They'll tell you, no, I'm not hungry. They'll throw their food away. They'll go back to playing Legos. And then at 12:30, they're like, I'm starving. And you're like, why didn't you eat your food? And they'll say, because I'm 6. Right? Because I thought it was more fun. So force them to sit down for you don't have to force them to eat, but force them to sit down for the whole 30 minutes. And then at 30 minutes, have a structured way to throw their trash away. If you don't want them eating on your mats and you have nowhere else for them to eat, lay out towels on the mats. Everybody gets a towel. Look at the social distancing lunch. Everybody sits down, crisscross karate sauce on a towel.
So these blocks are done when they're not doing their school virtual learning.
Right, and you're in a great position because you're going to have some sort of virtual learning. Now, you may not know what that's like. I don't even know what that's like yet. But I know that there will probably have to be some sort of, first graders go over here and start. Second graders go over here and start at 11 a.m. or whatever. There's going to have to be something like that. Mm-hmm. But, you just work your stuff around what that's going to be. And that's great to have those blocks already taken up.
Yeah, I know. So like when my grandkids do their homework, they're all on the kitchen table and they all have headphones on. So I imagine that'd be something you have to do there, get totally confused and too loud in your school.
Yeah. Well, and also I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a whole lot of foot traffic through my school right now for classes. Even though we're open, we don't have a whole lot. So it's okay to have your school kind of set up as a virtual learning martial arts day camp. That's okay to have your chairs in kind of in disarray, and normally they're in this way and now they're this way. I think that just tough it out there. So after lunch, afternoon is the same thing. Afternoons are hardest, so just be aware of that. I think that if you have the ability to buy a cheap 15-passenger van, you can find them for $1,500. Take them to the park in the morning. That's going to be really hugely advantageous. My buses are just coming back right now. If you can see them from the park, we go to the park every day that we can, because it really helps them get some of that energy out. Then they eat lunch, and then the afternoon is a little bit easier. Afternoons are hardest. And then get them dressed out for karate class and have them do the same karate class as your regular students. Unless you're having to do some kind of social distance thing, that's okay. Maybe they can have their own martial arts class. But if you don't have limits on class sizes and you can spread them out, have them do it in the same time. That way they feel like they're really actually part of the crew. So when this is all over, they're like, hey, I miss hanging out with Sally and Bobby doing sparring. That was so much fun. Mom, can we, okay, we don't have to do day camp, but can we do karate? I think that's going to be important.
Then I think you just got to be willing to figure it out. I was talking to Charles Jarnigan. He goes, well, I have mats on my floor. So if I have all these desks, it's going to put holes or indentations in the mats. I have a friend who's got a school in Maryland, and he bought a roller skating rink. So the inside of the roller skating rink is his after school. Inside of his roller skating rink at night is mats at his martial arts school. And he's got a team, and they've got all these mats on wheelers, and they just wheel them in, put the mats down, and it just changes over. So you just got to figure how to do it.
Yeah, I think this is the time for your ingenuity, and I think that we have a situation where all of a sudden we had Facebook, before, in order for you, Master Silva, when you were running your school, for you to hobnob with other school owners and to interchange information, you had to go to like EFC conference or something, right? Or like you had a professional conference or something. Like you had to go and talk to them or talk to them on the phone. Like all of a sudden now we just log into the Rainmaker group. And I'm not saying that we're lazy. I'm just saying that the information flow has been a lot more massive. And all of a sudden nobody really knows what to do. So you're going to have to just figure it out on your own and decide what, like you said, decide what you're willing to do. Are you willing to get on to DoorDash? Because if not, maybe your restaurant closes. Are you willing to have distance learning day camp? Because if not, maybe you don't teach martial arts anymore. And that stinks, and I don't want that to happen. So
Agree.
figure it out. Put some plywood under those desks, right? I don't know. Put some pull up one mat, right? Maybe you don't have mats. Maybe, I think that it's definitely I think it's and you know what would be great is if you guys that are watching this would tell us, like, here's a problem we had and here's a solution. Because if everybody's thinking the same thing, I don't want these chairs on my mats, right? These mats are expensive. Well, if you found, oh my gosh, there's this product at Lowe's and it's a perfect little thing and it sits on chairs, please tell us, right? So we can all go grab them.
Yeah. Very cool, sir. Good information.
All right.
Hope
See you later.
everyone gets something out of it. If you need questions answered, just put a comment or something under this video, and I'll get back to you.
All right. Sounds good. See you later.